Hi, I'm Lori Barnes, the astrologer who helps people find their true calling and take action towards manifesting it. The moonlight in the sky is increasing this week, and it's going to culminate in a full moon in Leo on Thursday. It's going to be in the morning if you're on the west coast of the United States at 9:54 a.m. You may not be able to see the full moon at its exact time because it'll be daylight, but that's when it's going to culminate. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to reach its fullest amount of light at 12:54 p.m. And if you're in Rome, Italy, where I am, it's going to be at 6:54 p.m. So over here in Europe, you'll have a better chance of seeing the moonlight after sunset. This month's full moon in Leo takes place at 5 degrees of the sign of Leo. The really big news as to what's happening up in the sky right now is the sign change by the planet Pluto. The planet Pluto has moved into the sign of Aquarius. And you may remember back in March of 2023, Pluto entered Aquarius for the first time in our lifetimes, for all of us, because it moves very, very slow. Because of retrograde motion, Pluto went back into Capricorn in June of 2023. Now we're going to experience this shift again into Aquarius. And there's going to be one more time when Pluto is going to go back into Capricorn by retrograde later this year. It'll retrograde back in early September, but on November 19th, Pluto is going to move into Aquarius, and it's going to stay there until 2043. So this is big news since it doesn't change signs very often. And just for reference, Pluto went into Capricorn back in 2008. So now we're going through this shift of Pluto going from Capricorn into Aquarius. And this shift is significant for the entire world and also for you personally, although some people's charts are going to be more activated and others not so much. It's going to significantly activate your chart if you have placements in any of the fixed signs, which are Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, in the degrees ranging from 0 to 5. And 0 degrees placements are going to feel it the strongest because that's where Pluto is right now. And then, as you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to feel it still strongly at this time, but not as strong as if you have something at 0 or 1 degrees. Those are the placements in your chart that are really activated right now. It's going to take years before Pluto gets to degree, 3, 4, 5, but it's on the horizon, and it's good to be aware of that. Now, those of you who have placements in the last degrees of the cardinal signs, you've been experiencing Pluto activating your chart for a while. And the cardinal signs are Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. That's you. You're just wrapping up the experience of having Pluto activate your chart. And many of you are going to be relieved to hear that. I'm sure if you know in your chart you have something in those last degrees, you're going to be happy to know that Pluto is moving on out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. If you have planets at 29 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you've really been feeling it lately. But also if you have placements between 25 to 28 degrees, you're moving out of it. You were activated in the last few years. So the closer the actual degree is to your natal placement, the stronger the activation is. And if you don't have a copy of your chart and you're wanting to look at what I'm talking about, you can get a free copy of your chart at astro.com or astro-seek.com. I use both of those and I recommend them. You can get your chart for free and then look and see what that looks like in the actual chart. Now we have a Leo full moon coming up, and a full moon always means that the moon and the sun are in opposite signs, because in the sun's light shines onto the moon, and when it's a full moon, the moon is shining the most amount of light possible. The sun is traveling through Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign that Pluto just entered, so we have a potent amount of Aquarian energy right now. All full moons are potent, they have that potent amount of dynamic energy. This particular one is going to carry forward some of that Capricorn energy, and it's going to have that Aquarian energy because the sun just met Pluto in Capricorn before the sun moved into Aquarius, and then Pluto moved into Aquarius. At this full moon in Leo, the sun has just moved a few degrees away from Pluto, and then we still have a lot of Capricorn energy because Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all currently traveling through Capricorn. So even though Pluto and the sun have moved out, we still have 3 other planets that are in Capricorn. So you could say there's lessons to be learned, boundaries to be held, boundaries to be respected, and strategies to be implemented. This is Saturn type of energy. Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign that's social because it's an air sign. It's objective and can sometimes be somewhat aloof. It is the sign farthest away from the sun's own sign, which is Leo. So that this is an interesting full moon as well when we have a full moon in Leo, because you have the moon in the sun's sign, and then you have the sun over on the other side in the sign that's the furthest away from its own. The Leo full moon reminds us that our own self-expression is important, and that's what the sun is about, self-expression. And we don't want to overlook or set aside our own personal self-expression. And then with the sun over there in Aquarius, it's bringing awareness to society as a whole. What we do impacts others. A full moon asks us to look at 2 sides of the situation. And in this case, we have Leo wanting us to express ourselves and allow our inner passion and creativity to flow, while Aquarius, on the other side, with the sun, wants us to take the greater good into consideration. And, both signs can be incredibly social. It's just the one, Leo, is going to be more self-focused. And then you have Aquarius, which can be more other-focused. That said, Aquarius is known for being independent, marching to its own drum. Freedom is really important to the sign of Aquarius. And often they also enjoy solitude unless the mind is stimulated. Whereas Leo really likes to be among other people and to be admired and recognized. So we have these energies that you can see this axis or spectrum or continuum where these 2 signs are at 2 ends, but they are very relatable as they stretch across this Leo and Aquarius axis. When thinking of the signs, you can also think of them in terms of archetypes. So with Leo, you can think artist, actor, performer, entertainer. Archetype, it's passionate and creative, and they like to express themselves, and they tend to be comfortable in the spotlight. Aquarius archetypes are like the scientist, activist, humanitarian, advocate, innovator. They like to create ideas that impact the masses, but they may not necessarily feel comfortable in the crowd. They need mental stimulation, social contact that's meaningful to their own ideals or in line with their own ideals. And, they really like to be stimulated, like stimulate their mind or let them be. And both of these signs, Leo and Aquarius, Leo being the full moon sign and Aquarius the sun sign, both of these are fixed signs, which can mean that during this time period of the full moon, it's a time to find awareness about something that's stuck, or maybe you will experience a difficult time seeing somebody else's point of view than your own, because it's kind of fixed, stuck energy. And if we contrast this with the energy that we are shifting away from, the Capricorn energy, when the sun was in Capricorn and Pluto, we have this new vibe where Capricorn is about a steady determination to win, and Capricorn may want to win at all costs. And then we have Aquarius, which is also a determined sign, but it has the focus, that air sign, social quality that wants change that impacts the masses, where everyone wins. The downside of that can be when the masses don't agree about what's best for a large group, or sometimes not seeing the consequences of what they think is best, because with fixed energy, you can kind of get stuck on your ideal and have a difficult time seeing other perspectives. Think about your chart and where Leo and Aquarius are in your chart, what houses they occupy, and this is going to tell you more about how this energy may be showing up in your life. If you're not sure about what the astrology houses are or what they mean, I have a link to an article on that in the description below, because that's definitely going to personalize it for you. And by the way, if you would like help interpreting your natal chart, you can reach out to me and schedule a consultation. You can do that on my website, and I have a link to that below as well. Now, of course, at the full moon, other planets are making their own statements and making relationships to the other planets as well. And so we want to take a look at what they're doing. This full moon is interesting because the other 5 traditional planets or personal planets, which are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, they're all making harmonious aspects with each other. So even though this can be a time of fixed or stuck energy with the sun and the moon in the fixed signs, there's this underlying vibration of harmony that's going on at the time of the full moon. These placements can help support the actions you're taking towards what's important in your life right now, like what you're already doing or what you've been doing since the new year. The 5 planets making harmonious aspects are Venus in Capricorn, which sextiles or makes a harmonious relationship with Saturn, which is in Pisces, and then Saturn makes a harmonious sextile aspect with Jupiter and Taurus. We also have Mercury and Mars in Capricorn. They're a little bit further away in degrees. They're making more of a wide sextile to Saturn, but still by sign, they're making this harmonious relationship. And we have Venus, which is about relationships, Mercury, which is about communication, and Mars, which is about taking action. So those 3 personal planets play a large role in how we interpret charts and how we understand our kind of basic approach to living our life, communicating with people, relating with people, and taking action. Having these 3 planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all in Capricorn, making a harmonious relationship with Saturn, which is the planet of structure, strategy, and boundary setting, this is the kind of harmony that gets things done. When those things you're working on are related to a long-term goal, like not just something like right now that's kind of done in a week and you forget about it, but when you are working on things for a long-term vision, then that's even better, because this energy really supports working on goals, absolutely, getting things done, but things that pertain to a longer vision down the road. And Venus, Mercury, and Mars in Capricorn are also making a harmonious trine with Jupiter. So they're making an aspect with Saturn, or a relationship with Saturn, and a relationship with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet that's about vision, beliefs, your belief system, your philosophy. It's about knowledge and expanding your knowledge and expanding things in your life in general. When you want to grow or expand something, Jupiter's a planet to look at. At the Leo full moon, there's this flow of ideas and energy to tap into when it comes to taking action towards manifesting your vision, which, is that Saturn. And Saturn helps bring realistic strategy in the picture. And then Jupiter is helping to bring in the vision, how to grow and expand this project. It has kind of an optimistic quality to it usually. And so when you put all that together, you really have, the brake and the gas pedal, you could say, with Jupiter and Saturn, that are helping you moderate, how you're going to go in and relate to others with whatever you're working on, how you're going to communicate, and then how you actually physically go and do it, that determination that's coming from within to without, which is Mars. Now, Jupiter's also in a tight T-square to the sun and moon. T-square means a right angle to 2 different bodies. And that means there could be some tension that's created, some challenge that's created at the full moon. But with Jupiter, squares aren't typically treated as difficult or considered as difficult as a square from, say, Pluto or Mars or Saturn. So this may kick up some awareness for you, like it could put you in a position of having to consider 2 sides of something, or make a choice about something, or just look at somebody else's perspective. But it can also help you discover or learn about what can lead to a positive outcome. And of course, you'll have to take action on that. And being that Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus, it's expressing its energy in a way that's grounded in reality. It's practical. So I think all of that's really good news. It's, really helpful energy to go out and get something done, even if it's coming out of some sort of tension, or, having to look at 2 things and make a choice or decide on something. You have this harmonious energy going on to support that and help you get through it, and in a way that's going to hopefully provide some positive outcomes for you down the road. Hopefully you'll look back to January as, what was I doing? What was I starting? And really see how far you've come based on how you launched whatever it is that you're doing right now. Just remember that sometimes the experience of breaking up stuck energy or having some of that tension or something challenging you, it can be uncomfortable or unwanted when it happens. It depends on everyone's personal situation, but it's providing that movement so then you can take needed action that's going to end up turning out well for you in the long run. Generally speaking, if you're looking at your chart and you notice that you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart, like a lot of planets in fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, then you personally could struggle more with change. You might find yourself wanting to keep things the same. So do be aware of that. Your chart is going to speak a lot to how you're going to respond to the energy that we have going on right now. It doesn't mean that you can't make change. It just means that be aware that your way of doing things may be in a more fixed manner, which means that you're very focused and you're very steady, right, and dedicated, and you get things done. It's just that this time period may ask you to kind of like lift your head up and look around and consider expanding your perspective and taking into consideration other views and other ways of doing things, because you may be missing out on some solutions or some ideas because you're so fixed and determined and focused on what you're doing. And those things are not negative things. I don't want to paint that picture. They're all great things to do in their time and place. And there's also a time and place to realize when you're starting to get stuck, when you're kind of rolling along, and next thing you know, you've kind of like rolled yourself into a rut. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you're working with this upcoming Leo full moon. We do have Jupiter in Taurus that has these harmonious relationships with Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And even Saturn being in harmony can really help you find some solutions, ones that are practical. And really that's what this is about, right? If you're looking into astrology, you're really asking astrology to help you improve your outcomes. So hopefully all of this gives you some food for thought about what's going on right now, and if there is any kind of stuck energy right now that you can break up. So the Leo full moon is focused on what feels good for you, the self, and self-expression, which is good for the soul, letting your true self out. The sun's position in Aquarius reminds us that we don't live alone. We live amongst other living beings, and how we behave does impact others. With all this earth energy, especially the Capricorn placements, what you put your effort into now can have fantastic long-term payoff. And that's because Capricorn is one of Saturn's signs and associated with longevity. A steady pace toward your long-term goals is really highlighted during this time, and it's worth your while to invest time, energy, and creativity into your most important goals. I wanted to mention that as we move into the last part of January and into February, we have all the planets moving direct. And then we have all these harmonious aspects in place. And even that Jupiter T-square is activating the full moon, and it can really kind of help things along. So it seems like there's enough active energy going on for you to get something done or to keep something important going. And there's enough earth energy to stay practical, determined, and productive. There's one caution that I wanted to mention, and that is Uranus, as it has a tight trine to Mars and Mercury. And it could be positive because you could tap into some brilliant and practical ideas, but it could be challenging if there's unexpected circumstances that come up, and they could come up fairly quickly or easily and possibly throw you off track. If something does come up out of the blue unexpectedly, you feel like you've been thrown off track or thrown off the horse, you could say, dust yourself off, get back up and keep at it, get back on the horse. It's just as likely you could have something really great come up out of the blue that helps you out, or something that unexpectedly throws you off. But do be aware that if something does happen and kind of like you feel like your focus is thrown off, embrace change. Embrace those detours as a sign that's leading you to success rather than letting it completely throw you off track. Remember that it's a Leo full moon, so your personal self-expression is really important. Leo creativity is how you define your creativity. Don't let anyone else tell you how creativity lives inside of you. You get to decide that. That's your self-expression. As we go into this full moon, make sure that you're taking action towards something that's really important to you. We have this productive energy. It's been present since the beginning of the year. If you've been doing stuff, making progress, kind of like really going at it, keep it up. That's great. If you're having kind of a slow start to the new year and you haven't, really done anything towards your goals, there's still time. We still have this great energy for you to tap into. And think of the theme of this full moon as kind of like express yourself and get something done. A quote for you to think about during the Leo full moon is about strategy, a Capricorn keyword, and it comes from Ellie Pidot, Pidot, who is the VP of Medtronic. And the quote is, strategy is a fancy word for coming up with a long-term plan and putting it into action. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions for what activities you could do under the full moon. You can do a ritual, which I have a guide for. I'll link to it below. Remember that there's a lot of Capricorn energy going on for the rest of January and the beginning of February. So just kind of like what this video has been about, just a good time for developing your strategy and working on your goals and thinking of your long-term goals that whatever you do now can really have payoff in 2024. So take action on the things that are most important to you. For some fun, throw a party. Leo's a social sign. So get together with your friends or go out, experience something that's artistic or a performance, or go to a museum, a dance show, or go see some live music. Do things you're passionate about. Leo is a sign that's about passion and self-expression. So if you can combine those and go do something creative, then enjoy yourself and go do that. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to schedule a consultation with me, you can click the link below. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Ciao.